and we are still working on database design. A business rule is a statement that imposes some form of constraint on a specific aspect of the database. An example would be a ship date cannot be prior to an order date for any given order. That makes sense. Why would you ship something unless someone ordered it? So there are two categories of business rules: field specific and relationship specific. A field specific business rule imposes constraints on the elements of a field specification for a particular field. So in this first example of requiring an email address for each customer, we would not allow nouns in the field. In the second example of allowing Canada postal codes, we would allow both numbers and letters. Apart from field-specific business rules, the other category is relationship-specific business rules. We saw a little bit of this in one of our ERD videos we saw earlier. We have already defined the relationships between the tables, one-to-one, one-to-many, many-to-many. You have to do that before we get to this step. Now we are refining the limits of the relationships. Examples are: a product is assigned one and only one category. A product must be assigned at least one category and may be assigned many categories. A product may be assigned 0 to many categories. Each class must have a minimum of 5 students but no more than 20 students. It's called degree of participation. In this diagram, we illustrate how to note that last rule from the previous slide. Each class must have a minimum of 5 students but no more than 20. The best approach is to define the field-specific rules first and then work on the relationship rule. This keeps you from jumping back and forth between types of business rules, which can often lead to confusion and some amount of frustration. A validation table, also known as a lookup table, it stores data that you specifically use to implement data integrity. The value in the table stays static. This type of tables usually have just 2 columns. Here is an example of a lookup table feeding the state value in another table. You can only limit the states to the state table to specific states. Let's move on to constraints. We've already done a lot of work modeling databases, and we saw how we can create a database. But constraints make sure that all of our design efforts are not wasted. If you do not put constraints on the database, you might end up with a data landfill rather than a good database. Constraints are restrictions on contents of a database. There are different types of constraints. We have spent a quarter talking about the primary keys. Let's take a look at some of these other types of constraints. A data type constraint lets you specify what data type the field can contain. In this example, we specify that employee ID must be an integer. Our integer is an excellent data type for a primary key. We would use a default constraint. If we knew most of the records would have the same value for a specific particular field, this example shows that we used the United States of a default value for the country region field. The non constraint ensures that a field has to have a value. Primary keys should all be non-none. In this example, we also see that the order date field is non-none. In this example, we are also seeing that the order date field is non-none. So it has to have a value. This makes sense. If an order is placed, it must have been placed on some date. The unique constraint ensures that a field or a group of fields is unique. This is particularly useful with junction tables because you want the combination of the fields to be unique. In this example, we are also seeing the email address should be unique. A check constraint is a little more creative. With this kind of constraint, you can validate that fields only contain values that pass some test. In this example, we are ensuring that the ship date is later than order date. Again, this makes sense. You wouldn't ship something before it was ordered. Foreign constraints ensure referential integrity by preventing you from adding a record with an invalid foreign key value. In this example, we could not add an order with an employee ID if that employee ID did not already exist in the employee table. So that's for this video.